It appeared in the first half when Runcorn had them back on their heels, and the extraordinary success of John Aldridge continues. And what a bargain he looks now. £250,000 was the price to bring him back to England from Real Sociedad, and the country's leading marksman on the score sheet twice again today. John, what does it mean to you to have passed that milestone of 300 goals?
I think it's nice for any striker when you pass your 100, your 200, your 300 and so forth, you know. It shows you that you're going about your job and doing it.
Typical of Aldridge, though, not content with getting goal number 300, you had to go and get goal number 301.
Well, I've got to set it off now, so aim for 400.
You're aiming for 400, seriously?
Why not? I'm not saying I'll get there, but you might as well have a go. You know, I've got another 2 years after this season, so you never know, football.
Your appetite for goals is obviously still there.
Yeah, I think it's possibly more so now because I've been starved the last 2 seasons in Spain through chances, and now I'm getting a few more chances, and luckily enough I'm putting them away, you know.
Tell us about the 2 goals that you scored today anyway. What about the first one?
Yeah, Johnny Morrissey done ever so well, great cross. He's made a few goals for me this season, and he picked me out again. It's just gone over the lad's head and I've chest down and just put it in the corner.
But what about goal number 301, because it was an absolute classic?
Yeah, I don't get many of them. I think if I carry on doing that, I'll do me back in, I think. Yeah, it was a bit special, I must admit. It was nice to score them.
I mean, how do you know where the goal is?
I don't know. No, you know where the goal is, there or thereabouts, and you just try to, you know, keep your eye on the ball and strike it well enough to beat the goalkeeper, and luckily enough it just went in off the post. So
the message, or the warning, if you like, for the rest of football is John Aldridge is firing on all cylinders and enjoying football. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm enjoying it tremendously, and just hope to keep on going and plugging away to him.
And not a good cup run now, eh?
Be nice. Yeah, be very nice.
I think he must be the buy of the season.
He's been a bargain, hasn't he? I can't remember exactly how much it was. It wasn't
200 plus, but,
was
yeah.
it? But no, he'll always score goals, John. He knows what he's doing. It's not always the instinct thing that most people think it is, but he hunts for space in the area. He gets away from defenders, usually behind them. He makes runs in front of them, and when he gets the chance, he invariably hits the target.
It's part instinctive, though, isn't it?
Well, I think you have to have a certain element, and there's a lot of luck involved. You have to be sort of gifted with the amount of balls that come to you, but when you get the chance, you've still got to know in that split second what to do with that particular chance, and John does.
I get the feeling with goal scorers like you and he that you come off disappointed if you haven't scored.
Oh yes, you always do that. You see John there in that particular one had pulled away from the defender and got between the two. Now that was the secret. People say you've got to be in the right place at the right time, but the secret is he's getting into space and getting into the right place all the time. I mean, that was a little bit special. I think John Gubber asked him where the goal was. I don't think the goal ever moves, so you know from roughly the area you're on the field where it is. But he's in the right place all the time, and when the delivery comes, if he's got that sort of short space, that little space that you need, then you get a good chance.
I don't think he's blessed with a great pace, is he, John?
No, you don't necessarily need to be. It's speed of thought more than speed of movement. If you can just move a little bit away from the defender on his blind side, if the ball comes right, it's too late for the defender to react, because all defenders ever do is follow the ball. Now, if you take chances on, or gamble on going for space, either behind or in front of the defender, then if it goes to you, you're ahead of them. That's a secret.
Don't tell them, watching. Don't tell them too much. Now, let me just tell you that the other second division side in action today was Grimsby Town at 4th Division Blackpool, and it was Blackpool who took an 8th-minute lead. The goal was scored by Paul Groves. Dave Bamber had set it up. Grimsby, who lost 2-0 at Blackpool in this round last season, equalised midway through the second half. You'll see some assured finishing here by their captain. And though Grimsby largely dominated the second half, it was Bamber, who you remember had set up the first Blackpool goal, who had a rather fortuitous looping header. It clinched their victory, Blackpool, in the next round. Now, if you're a Manchester football fan, you're either for City or United, of course. I'm not sure there's quite the same intensity of feeling in Lincoln, but they too have a City and a United. City from Division 4 were away to Stockport out of Division 3, and Central Midlands League side Lincoln United, the smallest club in today's first round, were away to Huddersfield, who won the cup, of course, back in the 20s. An away day for our reporter, Ray Stubbs.
For some, an early start was required as the people of Lincoln prepared for an historic day. Not many had ever thought they'd have two clubs in the first round proper of the Cup. Ralph Tufney, the 785th Mayor of Lincoln, was one of those up early. A true politician, he fudged on the question of which match he'd go and watch, but he did appreciate the importance of the occasion.
It is a wonderful day. It is people of Lincoln really looking forward for a good result. It is a big day for them, and I think a lot of people going to turn up, watch them this afternoon.
At 8:45, he waved off a Lincoln City side that hadn't won in 9 games.
The FA Cup, it generates revenue, and we have to win this one, get through the next round, and then hope to get Manchester United at Lincoln. That we'll win the Cup. I mean, it's a dream of every third or second or fourth division club, but mainly you're looking for a money spinner.
And Lincoln United in the first round with you too?
Yeah, we're looking for a win double. If they can get a result at Huddersfield and we can beat Stockport, get drawn in the next round, an all-Lincoln game, good gate receipts.
Thank you. All the best.
An hour later, the Mayor joined Lincoln United as they left to play their 6th game in a competition they very nearly didn't enter. At the start of the season, player-manager Alan Crombie was told by the committee the club weren't going to enter the Cup for a matter of £75.
A few of them said that we couldn't afford the entry fee. So I said, well, you've got to rethink about that. I said, because I think it could be worth it. If we come through a couple of rounds, then we've got a very good chance, you know, of getting the money back anyway. So we couldn't dream we'd come this far.
So how was the money raised?
Well, apparently they had a whip round and what have you, and they come back to me and says, right, we're in it. And that was as simple as that.
You certainly repaid the debt already, I think.
Well, yeah, I think so, yeah. Coming to the first round, it's a dream for everybody at the club and obviously a good money spinner. But we're going there and hopefully we're going to get a result as well.
If ever Lincoln City needed a result, it was today. In their striped shirts, they held out for an hour at Stockport, but then conceded a goal to Jim Gannon. But 5 minutes later, dreams of a good cup run were salvaged. Andy Kilner flicked on and substitute Jason Lee fired City level. Both Kilner and Lee ex-Stockport players. But 3 minutes later, Stockport, going well in the 3rd division this season, were back in front. Chris Beaumont made a nuisance of himself at the near post, and David Frayne took advantage. The killer came 2 minutes from time. Lincoln had hit the post as they scrapped for an equaliser, but somewhat on the break, Stockport wrapped it up. Their giant of a striker, Kevin Francis, headed a third, and half of the City of Lincoln's FA Cup hopes were gone. Across the Pennines in Yorkshire in their yellow shirts, United held out for 15 minutes before Kieran O'Regan volleyed Huddersfield ahead. A great interchange between the evergreen Frank Stapleton and Kevin Donovan soon put Huddersfield 2 up moments later. By this time it was obvious there was to be no giant killing. Stapleton, having appeared in 5 FA Cup finals for either Arsenal or Manchester United, scored a 3rd goal before half-time. Ewan Roberts made the score 4-0 early in the second half, and then the graduate of economics, Ife Onura, scored a brilliant individual goal after running at the heart of a United defence that was now on its last legs. Roberts made it 6 with his 2nd goal of the game, his 15th of the season, and Kevin Donovan felt confident enough to chip a 7th goal in the final minutes. Lincoln goalkeeper Simon Waby later described it as an afternoon of torture. At the end of 90 minutes, it was the United players' turn to applaud as their fans departed, looking on the bright side of life despite the result.
We've been beaten by a very good 3rd division side, probably what we call a 2nd division side. And I think there's no disgrace in what we've done today. And I think the lads have done themselves proud.
Looking at the leagues, you are a fair way down.
Yeah, from the Vauxhall Conference, you can say we're probably 6 or 5 off the conference. So, as I say, it's, you know, we've come to a task here, and I think we've done really well.
So the successful start to another FA Cup campaign for you?
Yeah, well, it's the first time I played in the first round of the FA Cup. The game was always going to be difficult from our point of view because we were on a loser all the time. But the lads stuck to it. A few nerves early on in the game, but once we got the goal, we settled down and we just did a professional job in the end. But we know it's going to be more difficult later on. But we hope to keep on going because we've got a good bunch of lads here who've been playing good football this season.
Lots of familiar faces involved today. Now, you may recall that West Brom, then in the second division, went out of the competition last season to non-league opposition in Woking. Now in Division 3, for the first time in their history, Albion were at home to non-league Marlow today. Gerald Sinstadt reporting.
West Bromwich Albion in the stripes won't easily live down that defeat last season, but at least they made sure there was no further embarrassment. Marlow held them for 20 minutes until Gary Strodder's fierce header began the deluge. More trouble came from Albion's left flank 10 minutes later. Gary Robson had a free header, but the save merely set up Don Goodman for 2-0. Then it was Goodman who released Craig Shakespeare. His good finish sent Albion in for a nice, relaxing half-time team talk. Afterwards, Marlow discovered that when you're down, the chances are someone will tread your face in the mud. This was a penalty for a trip on Goodman. Craig Shakespeare scoring his second of the match. The team from the Vauxhall League were now in disarray. Twice in a minute, Albion exploited space on the left of their defence. Bernard McAnally, the scorer here. And almost at once, another attack down the right, this time with Gary Robson cutting in to make it 6-0. No need for inquests at the Hawthorns this time. The Innocents at Peterborough. Harlow Town from Division 1 of the Vauxhall League were the victors. They're in red. And after 6 minutes, their account was in the red. Gary Cooper's left foot. Then came an incident that may have turned the match. Rory Gleeson challenges for a ball in the area. David Riley goes down and the referee gives a penalty, having decided that this was not a challenge for the ball but intentional contact with the man and that there was a clear scoring chance. No option now but a red card for Gleeson. Cooper scored his second goal from the spot, the first of 4 in 9 minutes. If you've wondered about Route 1 football, look at this. From goalkeeper to scorer by the shortest path. David Riley adds the touch for 3-0. But if that was basic, the fourth was a beauty from the textbooks. The angled ball in, the knockdown, the first-time strike from Worrell Sterling. Then Mick Halsall, the skipper, broke through the middle. He struck with the left foot for 5-0. From there, Peterborough could afford to show off their skills. The combination on the left and the cross were fine. The finish blurred a bit, but Ken Charlery's header was ruled over the line. Gary Cooper was just making sure. The second half was anticlimax until the two substitutes combined at 3 minutes from time. Paul Culpin scored the 7th goal to give Peterborough their biggest ever victory in the FA Cup.
Well, for a long time, an English club, Berwick Rangers, has played in the Scottish Cup. Now the tables are turned with Gretna, just over the border, playing in the FA Cup. It hasn't happened for over a century. They're currently top of the Northern League, which they won last season by 20 points. No mugs. Gretna, home to 4th Division Rochdale. Barry Davis witnessed this little bit of soccer history.
The school teacher, butcher, joiner, postman and fruit machine engineer are all here looking to enjoy the big day. And only the player-manager, Mike McCartney, once of 1st Division Southampton, has league experience among that lineup. But they're a side who are the champions of the Northern League and lead the way again, and who are looking for their 60th goal of the season in what is their 22nd match. Rochdale are the other guests, a side currently 6th in Division 4. A month ago, they were still unbeaten, the record they shared with Manchester United. 2 of their team played down the road at Carlisle last season, and John Halpin even trained with Gretna, so he'll have told his new colleagues what to expect. The regular captain, Steve Doyle, is missing from the lineup because of compassionate reasons. Experienced Ken Redfern comes from the northeast, is the man in charge. Referees regularly in the Northeast League, now refereeing Northern League against a 4th Division side. on a lovely bright afternoon. Home team attacking the goal to our right, and a real tester from the player manager. And the whistle has not gone, and Graham in all sorts of trouble managing to get it away. One or two looks at Mr. Redfern, but he had a good view of that. And Gareth Gray, he felt, was not fouled. Sometimes goalkeepers are overprotected. This is Andy Flounders, but he didn't have much chance to make much out. The goalkeeper having to wait a long time before it comes in. Paul Leeming getting a touch. At the other end, the other goalkeeper had rather more problems. Real up and under from Mike McCartney. And no obstruction called. And in fact, the goalkeeper really did quite well, and it was Gray in the end who helped him out. Carruthers. John Wilson's pass. Nelson couldn't make the most of it. Very deliberately played. And it just bounced a little too high for the stocky figure of Nelson. We've been playing now for 20 minutes. And during that time, we've yet to see a corner, but rather more interestingly, we've only had 3 free kicks. This is Nelson. And it is chased by and found by Nelson. Alan Reeves puts it out for the first corner of the match. And McCartney wants to check up on the state of Nelson before he goes across to take it. Player manager. Played with Carlisle and with Plymouth. Played with some good company too. Shannon, Ball, Keegan, and when he was with West Bromwich, Brian Robson. Learned a lot, he says, from Bobby Moncur. Good testing corner. Dead ball kicker is the player manager. On by Goodrick. This is Andy Flounders. There was a shooting chance here if he can just... No, he couldn't. He was closed down quite well. Gave Bowden the opportunity instead. Goodrick. Was Alan Shoulder. Standing position in the middle, the assistant manager. Didn't go out. He's a great winner of lost causes, Nelson. Unlucky. And Carruthers. This is Wilson. This is William Moat. He's drawn Malcolm Brown to him. Chris Pickford is waiting. Carruthers is coming up as well. The cross a bit too close to the goalkeeper. Andy Flounders. Jimmy Graham. Strong physical contest with O'Hagan and Whitehall. O'Hagan the stronger on that occasion. Carruthers. Inadvertent, says the referee. Halpin chased by Moat. And Moat actually confused McCartney by that. Plenty forward for Rochdale, and that's the nearest thing yet. And Flounders applauds the cross. The extra man actually got in the way then. Halpin who hit the cross, and up by Flounders just over the top. He looks at his linesman on the near side, who gives him a signal. As far as he's concerned, he can blow the half-time whistle. And the referee, for the first time, is going to have words, and it's just a passing comment to Mike McCartney. That challenge on John Halpin. The goalkeeper will get. Good roar greets the half-time whistle. Good applause for a lot of endeavour from the crowd at Raydale Park. yet to see a goal, and I wonder how much that satisfies the player manager of Gretna, Mike McCartney. Plenty of Scottish flags in evidence, and it's nice to recall that Andy Roxburgh, busy week though he had last week, took the trouble to ring up the club and wish Gretna the best of luck on this historic occasion. And the change made by Rochdale at the start of the half. They brought on Steve Kinsey in place of Steve Whitehall. Kinsey playing up front alongside Flounders, as Whitehall did. Spent, there he is, quite a few years with Manchester City, and has recently returned to this country from the United States. Tony Brown. O'Hagan makes it his. The determination of a rugby forward. Leeming is coming for it, gets the punch, goes down slightly. Malcolm Brown slipping at an inopportune moment. Nelson, Pickford wants the early return and gets it and stays onside. And is it in or is it outside? I think it's right on the outside, but the referee could well send off the goalkeeper for that challenge. He's just shown him the yellow card. The movement was away from goal, but it was absolutely blatant. Good ball that beat the offside trap. Pickford going on, and I really don't think there was any attempt there to play the ball. The challenge clearly outside the area. And Gareth Gray can consider himself pretty fortunate. McCartney, I think, is going to take the free kick. 4 up left of the penalty spot. This is Armstrong, and it came off Jones for the corner. And Redfern deciding that the yellow was sufficient, but I'm sure he didn't like the challenge either. Came off the head of Tony Brown, and that's a corner. And worrying moments for Dave Sutton, the manager of Rochdale. Bowden's header. And the shot was from John Wilson, from Dumfries. On shoulder, leaning forward, Bill Bentley, who doubles up as second choice goalkeeper nearest camera. Jones. Goalkeeper didn't want him to make the header. Pickford. Armstrong. Good save. Suddenly the volume increases. That's not a bad try either. And here is Wilson. That didn't have the venom of the earlier strike. Well, Pickford, he's not the biggest man around, and he's got a chance here. Oh! Well, the finishing, to be frank, has not been good, but certainly that was a very good effort indeed by Pickford. He got up well initially and then saw the opportunity here, had to hit it first time, the challenge was coming in, and he was only a whisker past the post. Well watched by McCartney. Kinsey. Good tackle. Kinsey. Still. That's a great cross. And here's Graham. Saw the glory, I'm afraid, and he couldn't keep it down. It's a very, very good cross by Steve Kinsey, and Graham is set up here. Would have been a spectacular goal as we come into the closing stages. Kinsey, still Kinsey. That's a tremendous block by Armstrong. Ryan. Bowden. he was doing. The goalkeeper happy to smile. Chase that. Nelson is asked once again. Pickford waiting in the middle. This is Carruthers. Well, that's the last time Rochdale have to clear their lines. Chris Pickford came nearest with that off the far post that he had to hit first time. There were many other easier opportunities for Gretna, but certainly they were let down by their finishing. And the league side suggested that little bit of extra control in the attacking part of the field without ever themselves getting on the score sheet. They'll have to try again at Scotland in 10 days' time.
Good performance by the non-league team, though, and Gerald Sinstadt now reports on some of the other smaller clubs who did as well, if not better.
Northampton Town in yellow can't have travelled too hopefully to Crawley, but when Phil Chard headed them in front, they may have felt they could get their first away win since the opening day of the season. But just before half-time, they played twice for defensive errors. A limp header away fell to Cliff Cant, who drove in one of the goals of the round. And 3 minutes later, an upraised arm appealing for offside met with no matching upraised flag from the linesman. Tim Hume scored, and Crawley were ahead. But only for seconds. Their goalkeeper, Barry Richardson, saw the ball squeeze out of his grasp and Tony Adcock equalised. 2-2 at half-time. Crawley, who play in the Beezer Homes Premier Division, had never beaten a league club, but their hopes were raised when Craig Whittington broke past two challengers, steadied himself with remarkable poise for a 21-year-old and scored to put his team in front again. The unemployed builder was in the process of demolishing Northampton, and just to show his goal wasn't a fluke, 5 minutes from time, Whittington broke from the halfway line and did it again, sparking off huge celebrations in Sussex, but leaving the 4th Division club's manager Theo Foley threatening resignation. There are too many people at this club who don't care enough, he said. His opposite number, Brian Sparrow, had a problem of a rather different kind.
I'm trying to hunt around for a bottle of champagne. It's not very open very often here, so I think there might be one in the cellar somewhere.
And perhaps a nice home draw in the second round.
We hope so. You know, today it was fairly intimidating for even the 4th Division club to come down because it's a big day for the town.
When you've gone 11 games without a win, as Aldershot had until today, confidence isn't high even against a team from the Diodora League. And this team were Enfield, in white, riding a run of success. Goalless for 70 minutes, the tie was settled by Mark Kane, putting Enfield into the next round. A corner after 20 minutes for Slough Town of the Vauxhall Conference, they're in the yellow shirts, gave Alan Pluckrose the chance to head his side in front against their 3rd Division neighbours Reading. All this celebrated by a 4,000 all-ticket crowd. The lead lasted for 50 minutes until Slough were caught by a very similar goal, Adrian Williams' header on that one. With 10 minutes to go, a replay seemed likely, but Slough were deceived by Mick Gooding's free kick. They can't have been dazzled by the floodlights, perhaps it was Reading's shirts. But there was a touch of genuine class and 3rd Division professionalism when Scott Taylor calmly stroked in another. 3-1 to Reading into stoppage time, and there's no way back from there. Even when Colin Fielder scored, it seemed like so near and yet so far. And yet, there was time for one last corner. A sharp header from Paul McKinnon, and the most remarkable recovery of the day was complete. Replay, also all ticket, Wednesday week. That's a part of Yeovil's heritage. The first league visitors to their new Hewish ground were Walsall in amber and black, and they fell behind to Paul Wilson's header. But then enter Neil Tolson, making his debut for Walsall. 8 minutes after being sent on, the 18-year-old trainee headed the equaliser that earned the 4th Division side a replay.
Two other non-league clubs close to producing upsets today. Witton Albion, who were within 2 minutes of beating Halifax Town, and Telford United achieved an even better draw, 0-0 away to Stoke. And tonight's match, Mansfield at home to Preston, was abandoned because of fog after 32 minutes with the score 1-all. Well, the road to Wembley is underway, and what it's all about is that, isn't it? A Cup Winners' Medal.
Winners'
If you
medal,
don't know what it looks like at
zoom
close
in on
quarters,
that. There it is.
That's
There's
what
the
it
back.
looks like.
You can read that if you've got good eyes.
Yeah.
It's,
and despite all the enormous fortunes you make out of the game these days,
well,
that's worth it.
that's what it's all about. It is nice, the other advantages, of course, but nobody thinks about money when you're playing, particularly in something like the FA Cup.
And you once thought you were going to win one with Everton.
Yeah, we were a goal up in that game as well, but it perhaps makes you appreciate it when you eventually do.
Now, we sat here on Wednesday, of course, stripping it to pieces in the England match. But what was your view of it all?
Well, I thought we played not too badly. I think if you look at the overall game, we had by far the more chances. We didn't put them away, which was slightly worrying for a while, but Poland, I couldn't see, even the way we played at the start, I think we were totally in control. I don't think Poland, after the first few minutes when you expect a bit of a flurry, they didn't really have a chance. They scored a freak goal, and naturally that worries a few people. And in the second half we changed it a little bit, and I thought we totally dominated it. And it's sometimes harder from the front, of course, and eventually we got our reward.
I read somewhere where you were dying to get this this opportunity. And
well, you always hope for a chance as a striker, and you have to be confident that you're going to put it away. And as you can see there, it did, but a valuable one, that one, Des.
Absolutely, too. What do you feel about the England team changing constantly around you?
Well, again, it's been half forced on the manager anyway. If you get a new manager, he's naturally going to have his own ideas anyway. Then we've got 1 or 2 retirements. Then we've got God knows how many injuries we've had over the last 18 months. We've lost people like John Barnes and Paul Gascoigne, probably the 2 most gifted players in the country. So it's not been easy, and changes are inevitable. The nice thing about it is that despite those changes, we've managed to qualify for Sweden, which is the most performances. Granted, have not been really wonderful, particularly the Turkey one, we know. But in general, I think it's quite promising, and it shows that we have got a lot of depth in it.
Looking forward to the European Championships, how do you think England might fare?
Well, it's a little way off yet. Looking forward to it very much if selected. But it was important that we got there. Once we're there, we've got as good a chance as anybody. Every country's press and media will be saying that their particular country's got no chance. I've played abroad. That was the same in Spain. I think it's the same in Italy and everywhere else. They always write off their own team, but somebody's got to win it.
Yeah. Tell me, what about Paul Gascoigne? Do you see anything of him these days? Does he come to the club, and what's the situation?
Yeah,
How's
he
faring?
comes in for treatment and therapy on his knee every day. He was at the game today supporting us, and we're all hoping that he gets fit soon enough to show his fitness for Sweden, because he's a great player. He's working very hard, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed for him.
Getting a bit more steady?
Yes, I think he's learnt his lesson a little bit from his last incident. He's certainly calmed down. I think he's decided to really make a few sacrifices, which you have to do if you're really in the public eye. And I know he's working very hard to be fit.
And finally, what's all this about you off to Japan to play?